Greetings all, and welcome to the 15th episode of TM Technical Movement. For today, we will be taking a look at the Bite, Crunch, Jawlock, Feint Attack, Pursuit, Beat Up, Knockoff, Payback, Assurance, Punishment, and Sucker Punch attacks. In short, the Bite attack is literally nothing more than a vicious bite delivered at close range. The actual boundaries between a simple bite and a bite attack are a bit hazy, but the two are generally separated on the basis of the amount of sheer force delivered. A normal bite from any animal will likely cause some pain, but an actual bite attack goes beyond simple flesh wounds and digs deep into an opponent's flesh, oftentimes causing decent physical trauma and lacerations. Years ago, this attack was considered as a simple normal type attack because of its apparent simplicity, but recent evidence has shifted nearly the entire scientific community's opinion on the attack towards a dark type move. As it turns out, the bite attack is also separated from a normal bite in that it also delivers a small amount of concentrated anti-positive energy as well, making the attack exceptionally effective against psychic and ghost types. It's noticeably different from other dark type attacks, with the exception of the Crunch attack, in that even Pokémon that normally have no ability to utilize anti-positive energy can actually use it, making it more akin to a powerful reflexive movement than a real attack. Interestingly enough, this minute influx of anti-positive energy amplifies the attack's stopping power and grants it a 30% chance of causing the opponent to flinch, in turn making it a great attack to use in just about any combat situation when some breathing room is needed, though this also seems to negate the effects of items like King's Rocks. Since an opponent needs to utilize his teeth or fangs to execute a bite attack, striking otherwise damaging their mouths and head can help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack. Otherwise, however, the attack is exceptionally difficult to dodge in close quarters. Additionally, armor will do little to reduce the damage dealt by the attack. The bite attack is surprisingly powerful despite its appearances, and can definitely prove to be a game changer if it manages to cause a flinch, so sturdy armor and protection against flinching are highly recommended above all other tactics to reduce the damage potential of the attack as much as possible. The Crunch attack is effectively nothing more than a harsher version of the bite attack, but this increased harshness is also what distinguishes it among moves and Pokémon alike. While a basic bite attack can be delivered by just about any type of Pokémon with decent jaw strength, the Crunch attack requires considerable jaw strength that is available only to a select number of species. Even so, the move does still share with its counterpart the utilization of concentrated anti-positive energy to cause damage, an existence among more non-dark types than actual dark-type Pokémon, and an inability to be affected by items like King's Rocks. The intense physical trauma entailed by a Crunch attack is often enough to render even humans incapacitated in battle, and is sometimes equated to the damage potential of a bite from a large shark. As such, the attack naturally takes on properties befitting such a monstrous blow. For one thing, the attack does not have the same stopping power as the bite attack, and can thus not cause the opponent to flinch, as the damage is dealt rapidly enough that no physical response can be made from it. Secondly, because the attack delivers a lot of force in a small amount of space, the move has the ability to physically weaken any target that it hits, and has in fact shown in practice a 20% chance of lowering the opponent's defense stat with every blow. This in turn makes the Crunch attack a wicked move that can easily decimate opponents in close quarters, especially considering that it's fairly hard to miss, and is naturally learned by a startling variety of Pokémon, which in turn helps to explain why it was made into TR32 for Silphco's first line of TRs, and then TM108 for the 9th generation line of TMs. As with the bite attack, because an opponent needs to utilize his teeth or fangs in order to execute the Crunch attack, striking or otherwise damaging their mouths and head can help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack. Otherwise, however, the attack is exceptionally difficult to dodge in close quarters. Additionally, armor will do little to reduce the damage dealt by this attack. The Crunch attack is a powerful move capable of inflicting incredible damage over the course of a long battle, but dodging it is usually out of the question. As such, strong defenses are the only real counter that can be made against the move, though even those may not last long if the opponent is able to continuously take advantage of the attack's secondary properties. Compared to the Bite and Crunch attacks, the Jaw Lock attack stands out because it involves user clamping down on an opponent harshly with their jaws and not letting go. The members of the Choodle and Mastiff families, as examples, are known for being a serious pain to deal with because of the tendency to harshly bite and clamp down on others without ever letting go. And while it takes them a while to build the overall jaw strength to make the most of this behavior, they can do so with the execution of the unique Jaw Lock attack. On the one hand, this attack acts much like a Crunch attack, and then involves user biting down harshly on an opponent while exuding anti-positive energy. But in the case of these two particular Pokémon, this attack can come with a twist. In execution, the attack only involves them clamping down and not releasing, so the move does not leave a gaping wound from its strike, and thus does not feature the defense-lowering attributes of the Crunch attack. Instead, when these beasts deliver this attack, they lock their jaws in place once they've clamped down. While they can undo this to execute the move again for more damage or deliver other attacks, for the most part, once this attack has been used, these creatures will make it impossible for them to be forced off with conventional attacks, making both sides unable to switch out their Pokémon unless a switch out is forced or is otherwise mandated by either side fainting. and might not always get the same damage boost that these beasts can get from other biting attacks with the right ability, but if the opposition needs to be pinned down and prevented from escaping a bad matchup, this can be the perfect attack for quite literally locking them down and making sure they see the battle out to its end. As with other biting attacks, because an opponent needs to utilize its mouth to execute a jaw lock attack, striking otherwise damaging their mouth and head can help reduce and negate the damage dealt by this attack. Otherwise, however, the attack is exceptionally difficult to dodge in close quarters. Additionally, armor will do little to reduce the damage dealt by this attack. The jaw lock attack is a rare move that is unlikely to be seen in most combat scenarios, but if the opposition has access to a Pokémon with this attack, only strong physical defenses will have a chance of withstanding the attack's crushing force, though a surefire exit plan might also be advisable given the attack's potentially devastating secondary attributes. The Feint Attack can essentially be thought of as little more than a disarming sucker punch thrown quickly to inflict damage. The user first sets up the opposition by either quickly disappearing or approaching them in a disarming fashion. The former case temporarily sets the opponent into a panicked state that causes them to look around rapidly for the target, while the latter merely distracts them for a short period of time and causes them to lower their guard a bit. In either case, the opposition is left distracted long enough for the user to quickly lunge forward and either strike with a forceful kick or a fist infused with anti-positive energy. The blow is light enough that the damage done is only moderate in most cases, but what makes the attack a true threat is that the initial setup works so well against all types of opponents that the move is effectively impossible to dodge unless the opposition is otherwise off the surface of the battlefield. This can more than make the attack a serious threat in battle, and is thus oftentimes abused by trainers that otherwise are stuck facing agile opponents, or trainers like to use changes in accuracy and evasion to the utmost, in turn more than validating its usefulness in battle. Due to its semi-intricate setup and execution, it is exceptionally difficult to physically counter the Feint Attack, and almost impossible to dodge it in close quarters. Armor will also do little to reduce the damage dealt by this attack. The Feint Attack's moderate damage capabilities only belittle the devastation it can actually cause among teams that prefer to use accuracy and evasion differences to their advantage, but since dodging is out of the question, the only tactic that can be taken against it is to use a Pokémon with high enough defenses to take the blow with little trouble. The Pursuit Attack is a good example of a move that is designed for something else aside from direct offense. The Pursuit Attack itself is nothing more than a rapid strike with anti-positive energy designed to inflict a small amount of damage under normal circumstances. This is not, however, where the attack truly shines. The Pursuit Attack is unique because it is the only move capable of actually striking an opponent in the act of being switched out for another or otherwise escaping from the battlefield. Under such situations, the user of a Pursuit Attack will rapidly rush up to the opposition and deliver a nasty sucker punch of anti-positive energy before they fully get away. When the target's back is turned and the guard is down, the damage done by the attack is effectively doubled. This makes the move a bit too specialized for most trainers and rather unconventional in most fights, especially since it is unaffected by items like King's Rocks, but if you have an opponent that enjoys switching out their Pokémon constantly to keep some sort of advantage over you, this attack can easily and quickly wear them down before they even know what's going on. Due to its varied execution style, there's no way to directly counter or dodge the Pursuit Attack, especially when a Pokémon is trying to flee from battle or is switching out with another Pokémon. Additionally, armor will do little to reduce the damage dealt by this attack. The Pursuit Attack is generally too specialized for most trainers to handle, and it's rarely seen in professional battles, but unless you can stick to your guns and try not to switch out too much, the chances of taking otherwise needless damage from the attack can be quite immense, and should be planned for accordingly with Pokémon that have decent enough defenses to take the blow with little trouble, even when it is at full power. The beat-up attack itself is little more than a frenzy call used by a Pokémon that enjoys using group tactics above all other methods of attack to summon help from nearby allies in battle. During this attack, each summoned team member takes a small swipe at their target and inflicts a relatively small amount of damage on them before retreating, allowing someone else to take a swing at them. The amount of damage actually done by each swipe is surprisingly dependent upon the attack stat of the user, seemingly because this is directly related to how forcefully they can call and rally the allies together, while its base power is dependent upon the base attack stat of every party member involved in the onslaught. The damage done by the beat-up attack, although technically typeless, and was thought to be so for some time, actually has the same damage mechanics as Dark-type attacks in practice, and is classified as such. The move might not have any special features to make it particularly dangerous in battle, but when up against an entire pack of beasts with even a single member that knows this attack, the potential for tremendous damage can often be too high for any one Pokémon to take, which might explain why it was used to make TM37 for Silphco's 8th generation line of TMs and TRs before being discontinued in the 9th generation line. Because of its unorthodox execution style, there is no way to directly counter or dodge the beat-up attack. Additionally, armor will do little to actually reduce the damage dealt by the attack. The beat-up attack is an extremely uncommon move and is little practical in use in professional combat, so it's certainly a rare occurrence to ever see this move at all. Even so, if stuck fighting against a horde of beasts capable of using this move, the damage that can be done is immense and should be prepared for with strong defenses above all other options. The knockoff attack, much like moves like Rapid Spin, is designed not for the purpose of actually dealing direct damage, though in its case it is still surprisingly powerful, but for something completely unrelated to direct damage. In this case, it's removing the opponent's held item. Held items can more often than not help Pokemon in battle gain a major edge over opponents by either increasing the strength of their attacks, making it difficult for the opponent to damage them effectively or otherwise change their abilities so as to make them more efficient in battle, and so on and so forth. The knockoff technique is thusly designed to help rectify this issue and level the playing field. The user of a knockoff attack essentially cloaks part of its body in anti-positive energy, and then lightly but fiercely jabs an opponent with a cloaked limb in an effort to temporarily stun them. While the target is stunned, the user takes the opportunity to then knock away the held item if they have one, thus preventing it from being used the rest of the battle. Since the actual held item is not stolen but merely removed, the item can still be recovered at the end of a battle. Even so, the fact that the move completely removes the items in play can make it very difficult for opponents to specialize in using held items as a core component of their strategy, and thus makes the otherwise mild attack a vital move to have in the right situations, even though it is unaffected by items like King's Rocks. Moreover, while some items like Megastones cannot be removed, if the user does manage to remove the item from an opponent, they will receive a boost in power in the process, increasing the damage the attack does by 50%, and in turn turning it from a moderate blow into a heavy strike that can easily make life miserable for opponents without resistance against dark-type attacks, a trait that would help to explain its conversion into TM-181 for Silphco's 9th generation line of TMs. Since an opponent must use an appendage of some sort in order to execute a knockoff attack, striking otherwise damaging the offending appendage can help reduce and negate the damage dealt by the attack. Otherwise, however, the attack is exceptionally difficult to dodge in close quarters. Additionally, armor will do little to reduce the damage dealt by the attack. The knockoff attack is not powerful enough to be a serious threat against most opponents, regardless of the situation, but the fact that it nonetheless removes held items and is powered up when doing so can still make it a potential strategy wrecker in practice. As such, the only real way to counter the move's most dangerous attributes is to make sure that your Pokemon possess strong defenses and are not holding an item of some sort, or at least have an ability that prevents item loss in the first place. While the exact execution of the attack varies from Pokemon to Pokemon, the Payback attack is effectively little more than a concentrated burst of anti-positive energy delivered by a physical strike. The move itself has no unique after effects nor is particularly powerful, but it does have one interesting attribute that can make it potentially dangerous in practice. The anti-positive energy used in a Payback attack is charged continuously even if the attack is ready to be used, so the amount of damage it can actually do generally extends to a certain point with time. In practice, this means that the attack's base power will double to 100 if the opponent acts first and gives the user enough time to fully charge the attack. The move itself is easy to execute and very difficult to avoid in battle, so its potential among slower Pokemon is quite large when used from a defensive standpoint. It is for these reasons that Silphco decided to release the move as TM66 within the 4th through 7th generation line of TMs and recent Sinnoh Special Edition set, and TM57 in the 8th generation line, from which it gained a small but profitable cult following before being discontinued in the following generation. As a result of its simple but varied execution style, there is no way to directly counter or dodge the Payback attack. Additionally, armor will do little to reduce the damage dealt by the attack. Overall, the Payback attack is unlikely to see a lot of use among purely offensive fighters, but does have significant potential as a defensive attack. As such, Pokemon with strong defenses and low speed stats are the best counters that can be utilized against this attack's unique attribute. The Assurance attack is a poorly understood move and is rarely used for truly offensive purposes because of the special conditions under which it performs the best, but in those cases, this otherwise unassuming attack can be a devastating weapon. The Assurance attack essentially involves user striking an opponent with a somewhat strong blow while cloaked in anti-positive energy. Interestingly enough though, the amount of anti-positive energy infused into the opposition, and therefore the damage dealt by this attack, will be dependent upon their current state of health. Under normal situations, the attack will only inflict a somewhat moderate amount of damage. If the opposition is hurting, and vulnerable as a result of taking damage already within the same turn however, the attack's base power will double. This can make the move more than difficult to pull off properly, but if the chance is available, it's still a move that can shine the presence of fast-moving allies, which might explain why it became TM58 in Silphco's 8th generation line of TMs and TRs before being discontinued the following generation. Since its execution style varies depending upon the Pokemon using it, there's no way to directly counter or dodge the Assurance attack. Additionally, armor will do little to reduce the damage dealt by this attack. The Assurance attack is unlikely to be used much professionally as a result of its limited specifications, but when appropriate, it is nonetheless a dangerous move that should be prepared for with high defenses and the usage of indirect forms of damage to take down the opponent without having to worry about activating the attack's unique attribute. The Punishment attack is a unique move designed to make life difficult for opponents that specialize in using attacks and techniques to raise the overall performance of battle and equalize their efforts to otherwise make themselves more powerful than usual. The Punishment itself is little more than a harsh physical blow delivered while the user is cloaked with anti-positive energy. The amount of anti-positive energy that is infused into the target to inflict damage, however, depends upon how much higher the opposition's stats are from the normal values. When the opponent is at its normal stat levels, the attack is only moderately damaging and extremely inefficient in terms of stamina use.
As the number of increases that occur to the stats gradually grow in number, however, the amount of anti-positive energy infused into them increases steadily by intervals of 20 base power up to a maximum value of 200, in turn making the otherwise pointless attack a devastating strike against even armored creatures, and thus an attack worth fearing in professional combat. Due to its unique attributes, there is no way to directly counter or dodge the punishment attack. Additionally, armor will do little to reduce the damage dealt by the attack. The punishment attack might only be truly useful for certain situations, but considering how devastating it can be to those under those circumstances, it is highly recommended that stat modifications be avoided, if at all possible, when the opponent has access to this move. The Sucker Punch attack is effectively what it sounds like, a rude sucker punch thrown at the opponent as a preemptive strike against their next attack. As a result of its rapid execution time, this move will strike much sooner than most other attacks, and can effectively hit the opponent before they can even react in most cases, in turn giving the user the chance to strike first even if they are on the short end of the mobility stick. While the Sucker Punch attack is relatively powerful, it is flawed in that it will only work if the opponent is preparing to strike back with an offensive attack. If they are instead preparing to use a technique or an attack that does not deal direct damage for some reason, or move before the user as a result of a move that allows them to move even more quickly, the attack will fail. Even so, the damage that the Sucker Punch attack can do is almost equal to that of the otherwise rare Extreme Speed attack. Although it might not share its exceptional speed advantage, it nonetheless makes the attack a move to look out for in any battle. Since its method of execution varies among different species, there is no way to directly counter or dodge the Sucker Punch attack. Additionally, armor will do little to reduce the damage dealt by the attack. The Sucker Punch attack is a powerful move that can certainly inflict a decent amount of damage every time it is successful, so the best option that can be taken is to either bring strong defenses to the battlefield, otherwise focus on techniques and indirect attacks until the opponent no longer has the stamina needed to utilize this attack.
That's it for this episode, so stay tuned to the next episode of TM Technical Movement. Thank you all for watching this video. It always brings me great joy to see others enjoying the work I do to try and make the world of Pokemon and the fascinating creatures that lay inside of it feel as real as they possibly can. If you really enjoy my work, please feel free to leave a comment and subscribe, as I always do my best to respond to any and all comments that are left on my videos. In addition, if you wish to learn more about my work and help support it, you can find links to my Patreon page, as well as email and other contact information to my work on DeviantArt in the video description down below. Furthermore, you can find a link to my Discord server there as well if you'd like to get a first glimpse at what videos are coming up next and converse with other fans of the world of Pokemon. Thank you for taking the time to watch this, and have a wonderful rest of your day.